Welcome everybody to the Health Accelerator Challenges. This is your host of the session, Cade Archibald, and really excited to jump in today. We got some really cool stuff we're going to be diving into. But first, let's do a quick recap of last week's hack and the challenges. So the challenge was we went through some really cool blood markers, some inflammatory markers, hemoglobin, homocysteine, liver markers. And then the challenge was to, the week prior was get your labs ran. And then this week was to look at those labs and do some research, figure out what markers may mean and use some technology to do a little additional insight and deep dive on it. And also reach out to us if you need some assistance with that. How do we think it went, Regan?
Well, I've had people come in and they've said, "Hey, I look at, I'm looking at these markers." I had the client I was meeting with before this. He showed me his ferritin levels had dropped by 50%. He also showed me his hematocrit and hemoglobin were normalized. He had because he was in this state called hemochromatosis, and he's not in it any longer. And those were the markers that he really was fascinated with. And then we reran his blood work, and they look great. So, and then we've had a few others of you who are on today who you've seen your redos on your labs, and that's been really exciting to see the breakthroughs there. So appreciate all of you who are getting engaged and involved in the process.
Awesome. Well, let's type into the chat box if you have any comments or any insights on your last week's challenge, and let's dive into today's topic.
Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this concept called Younger Next Year. I just finished meeting with Dan Sullivan. I'm in a group, and he changed the name today, Cade. It's now Age Reversal Future. That's the name of the mastermind, the Age Reversal Future. And so he changed that from Lifetime Extension. So what do you think of the new name?
Age Reversal Future. I like it.
Yeah. Well, it fits. I have the domain Age Reversal Medicine. So there we go.
It's perfect.
And we'll have a new podcast coming out with Dan, the Fitness 50 at Age 100. So there's a lot of exciting things. But one of the topics that came up and that always does is, if you think about your future, and you start thinking about, well, what is the age reversal future? What does that look like for me? And we did this interesting workshop with him where he took us through and he said, all right, what are the ways you're going to measure yourself over the next 12 months? So if each one of you just take a minute, we've been talking about this, but one of the ways I measure my progress, because all progress, it's improved and amplified when there's metrics behind it. But I do my quarterly blood labs. I look at my hormones. I look at my peptide optimization opportunities. I'm looking at metabolomics. And then in place of DEXA scan, we've got a brand new scanner that we'll be putting into the clinic. And Cade, we should have that in about 7 weeks. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that will show all kinds of, we can see where there's fat deposits around organs. We can also see your fat to muscle ratio, similar to a DEXA scan, but it's all done through infrared light. So there's no radiation, no damage there.
I love that. Yeah, it looks really excited to get that in.
We've now got the gallery test. So for those of you who, one of our mantras is no death by neglect. And so we're running these cancer screenings they're very advanced because they show the unraveling of DNA and what gets triggered by that. And then that unraveling of DNA can show when there's cancerous tumors 4 years before any other screenings show up. So, it's something that I'll be running on myself every year, and I, will be putting it in many of your programs. And then the true age, the pace test. So my goal is to get 8 years underneath my chronological age in the next 12 months. And so I've got some work to do on the true age and getting that down. So these are some of the measurements that I'm looking at. And the other big measurement and the big announcement we've got today is I'm measuring myself on the Murph. So Cade, have you started training for the Murphy yet?
I've started training, I haven't started doing the weighted run yet. Thank you for the weighted vest, by the way. That was my birthday gift from Regan, is the weighted vest. So yeah, but I've just been focusing on like building some muscle strength, but haven't necessarily been training on Murph specifically.
I think your push-up skills are crazy, and you'll be great on pull-ups and squats, but it's the mile run that I'm concerned with. So
I have been running a mile and then doing my workout.
Good.
I haven't taken the weighted vest quite yet.
Okay, well, you'll love it when you do, but just so everybody knows, everybody's invited to our annual, we're going to now make this an annual Memorial Day event where everybody does the Murphy. This is a CrossFit hero workout. And what it is it's you run a mile and then you do 100 push-ups, 100 pull-ups, or 100 push-ups, 200 pull-ups, and 300 squats. And then you run another mile with a weighted vest of 10 to 20 pounds. And so my goal is to get it under an hour, and I don't mind. I'll probably wear a 10-pound vest because I don't want to put too much pressure on my joints, but we'll see. I'm getting stronger, but I've been testing myself every week, Cade, and it's a burner. This one's crazy.
So have you been doing like the whole workout or just parts of it?
Just doing parts of it. So I, started by, what's that?
You're a little ahead of the game if you started the whole workout.
Yeah, even last week I did, I did the mile. I'm doing the miles. I've been doing the running consistently. But I'm running about a 9 to 9.5 minute mile on the first mile. I'm trying not to go out of the chutes too fast. And then it takes me about 30 to 40 minutes, or it takes me about 20 minutes to get half of everything done. So I've just been cutting it in half, but getting more of the squats in. And then my last mile is about 10 to 12 minutes because my heart rate just shoots up. So that last mile is a burner. But I would love to see, and by the way, if you're like, I can't do a pull-up or I can't run, well, you could get on an elliptical and go a mile on an elliptical. And there's ways that you can modify this. But how many of you would love to participate in the Murphy with us this Memorial weekend coming up in about 3 months? And so if you're...
And you can, Tristan's got some great modification ideas that he can work with you on it. So if you're not working with our fitness advisor, Tristan, get with him and he can give you some great insights on different modifications so you can still participate in that.
Andy Murphy, we're talking about Murphy, about getting that thing rocking. So yeah, if you're interested, let us know and we'll get you signed up, and then we're going to have some prizes. We're going to make a little party out of it. By the way, you're going to do the Murphy on your own because we may do kind of an internal program in the office, but we have so many people that live so far away. So all you have to do is time yourself and then let us know where the handicaps are. Like, so if you didn't use the weighted vest, then that's fine. Just let us know. Or if you only ran a half a mile, let us know. Or if you only did 5 push-ups and 10 pull-ups and 15 squats, that's fine. Just let us know. You can modify it however you want, but we're all just going to create a nice little activity for all of us to work towards. So that's one of the scorecards I'm looking at, and that kind of flows into today's hack, which is on this really powerful book called Younger Next Year. And I've talked about this in the past, but how many of you have read the book Younger Next Year? Okay, well, I would put this on my reading list. It's a book that was published maybe 15 years ago, and it's interesting because Chris Crowley is a lawyer who started looking at his life completely different in his late 50s. He realized, like, I'm getting chubby, I'm getting out of shape, I don't feel as good, my energy's waning, I don't have that zest for life. And so him and Dr. Henry Lodge worked together and started doing all this research on how to turn back the biological clock. And Younger Next Year is a really great read about the compelling need to move our bodies more as we age, more so than anything else. In the literature is this fact that if we move, and then there was a study that was released last year that showed that people who exercise moderately 300 minutes or more a week, and people who exercise with mild intensity around, between 500 and 600 minutes a week, lived on average 27 to 31% longer than people who didn't. So the fastest way you can upgrade your longevity is simply exercise more, move more. And Younger Next Year, what they found is that every year of age, you need to start increasing your amount of exercise and physical activity. Cade and Andy, what do most people do as we age when it comes to exercise and physical activity?
Well, non-East-Westers.
Right, yes.
It's a different conversation, right? But, certainly at East West, when, we've got Tristan as our fitness advisor, giving you great programs to implement. You've got health coaches, myself and Jenny, helping you to integrate it into your life. But, people generally become more sedentary. It's sad. And it's like there's so much enjoyment in being active and moving every day. And people just kind of tapers away. And it's like, why miss out on that? You can be doing fun activities too. Like, I was talking to someone the other day that said, I'm going to start pickleball. I was like, awesome. This is such a cool, fun activity to do as a couple. So, you're missing out if you're a non-East Wester, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah, there's some, I think typically people start slowing down as they get older.
Yeah.
That's
But you don't have to, is the thing.
Yeah, adapting, because we're not going to be doing the same things that we're doing when we're 18 or 25, if you're in your 70s or 80s. But there's so many things that you can do, and Younger Next Year is a really compelling argument as far as what to do. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. So as we think of our age reversal future, and you think about what needs to happen in your life so that there's not any surprise death, there's not, or death by stupidity, is what Mike Koenig says, our good friend. But what do you need to do to make sure that you've got everything aligned so that you can live unreasonably long with unreasonable health? And so that's the conversation we'll have here today. So here's what we see, quality of life as we age. In Eastern medicine, there's this thing called compressed morbidity. And there's this concept that's reinforced, and it's one of the first lessons that I learned from my mentor, Dr. Maekawa, who I get to go see next week in Hawaii. She turns 86. And so I'm really excited to go see her. But one of the first things she taught me is that people who are healthy, they live really long and they have a great quality of life with, just exceptional health. And then they die fast. So compressed morbidity is where you live really long and you die fast. But most people especially in the industrialized countries and the American society, is we have this steady decline. So our health peaks right around 35, maybe 30. It's getting younger and younger all the time. And then it starts to decline, and we put it off, or we say we're going to get active next year, and we make all these promises that we don't keep to ourselves, or we're in ignorance. I mean, ignorance, I would have to argue ignorance kills more people than any disease in and of itself. Would you guys say that's accurate?
Yeah, and the aforementioned stupidity, I'm afraid. Look, it's stupid to be ignorant, like engage in it. There's so much great information, and I just don't, I don't know. I was talking to Tristan about this earlier today, well, in a meeting, and no, it was yesterday, and it was about trying to get people to engage and to engage in the information and engage in the activity and to have the fun with it. And it can be really hard to get people to do that because, they've gone on that, that quicker taper that you've got on the chart, instead of staying active and engaged. You don't need to engage in the taper. You can stay on that nice plateaued area and still have great quality. And I'm just all about the fun. As we know, my new unique abilities this week, it's all about the fun.
It's all about fun, and it's all about Andy's got this strength. If any of you have taken the Strengths Finder, Andy's got the woo factor. So Andy's got just this gift of being able to win people over. It's great.
Well, keep the dream alive. Tell everyone you know.
No, I love it. I think it's great. I think it's true. You do have that strength. And so here's the interesting thing is Cade and I, our grandfather skied his last year of life. He died at the age of 80 because he had he was exposed to Agent Orange in World War II. And so he had this gut issue, and he had lots of his colon cut out, and it actually, his colon got twisted and he ended up with septicemia, and that's how he died at the age of 80. But he was skiing, and he would have lived, I don't know, 10, maybe 20 years longer. Oh, yeah. So yeah, he's a prime example of that kind of compressed morbidity. And that's really, if you think of
working on the farm up until, the day. Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Teaching the kids how to read, all his grandkids. He taught me how to read. I'm sure Cade learned a lot how to read. Yeah, it's great. So
emoji is awesome. Or that meme.
Yeah, because this is the one thing is, and in Younger Next Year, the concept is, if we let our bodies go, and if we say, okay, I just want to do what's comfortable. Andy, how many times you hear that in your coaching? Like, look, I'm not willing to make these changes. I just, I want to live my life the way I want to live it. I don't want to make any changes, but I want you guys to get me unreasonably healthy.
A little more frequently than I would like. And, to quote Heather, she said, you can't out supplement, you may well edit this out, but you can't out supplement a shit diet. You can't. Yeah. So, and you've got to make the changes.
Yeah.
You have to be engaged to do it. But, it's interesting, you come up against resistance with people who are like, what? You want me to do what? And I'm like, just little bits at a time, bite-sized pieces. Yeah. Let's get some momentum. And once they get that momentum and they realize that these bite-sized pieces are actually really, facilitating great change, the momentum kicks in and off to the races. The rest, it gets so much easier after that point.
Yeah. And that's why one of the first books we want everyone reading in the program is Atomic Habits by James Clear, because our program's based around this concept, these six essentials, that if you just put these things into your life, it's much easier to make changes if you just identify with who you're becoming. And that's the very first principle in Atomic Habits is you are now someone who's fit, healthy. You're going to live unreasonably long with unreasonable health. So you've got to reframe that, and that's where it all starts. But then you want to make it easy to follow those habits and hard to do the things you don't want to do. And so if you have cake, for example, it's okay. It's like, well, if you want to have cake occasionally, go ahead. But if you're like, look, I'm eating cake on a regular basis, then you probably ought to show up to the party full, and you probably ought to let yourself know that you're not somebody who eats cake. And, and then that will avoid the blackout when it's that one piece becomes two, and then two becomes a half a cake, and then half a cake becomes 3 days later, the whole cake's gone. And you're like, I just consumed about 2,000 calories of cake in 3 days. Like, not that I've ever done that, but just in case it's ever happened to anyone.
Yeah, I think those concepts are so just spot on, especially when it's like that identification of who you are. Just that little teeny mindset twist or tweak can make just
Yeah.
a huge difference.
Yeah, because if we're going to live a long time, then, I guarantee you that the longer you wait to start putting some energy back into your health, harder it's going to be to get there with all four tires on the road. And a lot of it, we think, oh, I'm not disciplined enough to do this, but just remember, you're 100% disciplined to your current set of habits. So whatever you're doing, you're disciplined to exactly what you're doing, right? And so it's like, all we're trying to do is get you disciplined to eating different, thinking different. I read this interesting article on, the 5 things that really fit people do on a regular basis. And the entire article and all the research was that fit people, they choose fitness activities over sedentary activities. When they can do something outside or something that's going to push them physically, they're far more likely to do that. They associate with themselves as someone who's fit. So anytime they're planning something, they're looking at how can I get my workout in, or what can I do to stay active? Fit people choose stand-up desks over sitting desks. They choose to get up and move around. So it's just basically all the James Clear stuff. It's like they identify with themselves as someone who's fit. And then you have to say, well, what would somebody do? And then the interesting thing about fitness and health is, I guess, Andy or Cade, what would you guys say the difference is between fitness and health?
Well, health is more holistic. I think, fitness is one area of health, because health encompasses your lifestyle, your work. Do you love what you do? Your stress levels. Fitness is a component of reducing stress levels. It's great for reducing stress levels, but it's a component of health. The health is 360 degrees.
Yeah.
And I think there's plenty of times where you'll find some of our patients or different people that can be really fit, but you look at their health and some of their habits, and it can it can flip if you're too one-sided on the fitness side and not looking at it from a holistic standpoint.
Exactly. It's all about balance.
I think balance is, I think it's probably the most important thing. And that's what, the book that we looked at, here's Dan Sullivan's. The truth is that all of us are already 100% self-disciplined to our existing set of habits. So let's ask ourselves some questions. Do you have a goal for your health that motivates you? Score yourself on a score of 1 to 5. Are you happy with your routines? Because these healthy habits are what really is going to move the needles. Do you have a goal for your health that motivates you? I mean, are you motivated by your goals for health? My exercise routine keeps me healthy and happy. Does it keep you healthy and happy, or are you just comfortable with it? Because, today, the big thing that you'll learn from if you jump into the book Younger Next Year is that once again, where we started the conversation is the longer, the more that you put into your exercise and your movement. They found 2 hours a day was key for people who live the longest. 2 hours, so, and we have the 30-30 that we advocate, but then we're going to want to start increasing that. If I continue with my current health habits, my happiness will be on a score of 1 to 5. Will you be happy with your current health habits? Because if we look at the difference between fitness and health, Andy, to your point, you said, fitness is, it's where we can have people who are fit, but they're not necessarily healthy. I've worked with a lot of NFL athletes and fighters and, former Major League Baseball players, and the food that they eat is absolute garbage. And I'm just shocked that, Cade, one of our favorite running backs, Marshawn Lynch, he'd score a touchdown and then he'd have a bag of Skittles. That was his award.
And can I just say, who is he?
was a
Kate, go
running-
ahead. Yeah.
He was a running back for the Seattle Seahawks when they went to the Super Bowl. With great team. They like had a huge turnaround after a couple seasons with I can't even think of the coach's name.
So he would be the
Steve
equivalent.
Carroll is something like Carroll. Yeah.
He would be the equivalent of Jonah Lomu, right?
Yeah, we're gonna say yes. You don't know who Marshawn Lynch is. We don't know who Jonah is.
Jonah Lomu. He was one of the best All Blacks ever, which is the New Zealand rugby team.
Okay. Wow.
But sadly died at a young age, and I think it was a result of kidney disease, if I remember correctly.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think there's, an argument for having both. And younger next year, they talk about cytokines, and you have these interesting processes that go on in our body where our body's never in this, like homeostasis is a myth. Like our bodies are dynamic. They're always changing every hour of the day. We have different hormone levels. We have different secretion of peptides. We have different regulation of mitochondrial function. We have bacteria that's awake. We have bacteria that's asleep. We have DNA that are turned on, DNA that are turned off. So our bodies are very connected to nature and time. But if we're not looking at those little factors, younger next year, what they found is that if you're not exercising, then your body goes into this, what's called a catabolic state, where your body starts turning off the healthy expression because, once again, our bodies are in this pattern of atrophy because we're not using it. So creating habits around becoming more active is, from all the research, that is the most important thing you can do right now to keep yourself ultra fit. And the reason why I love the Murphy exercise right now, well, first of all, I've always been pretty good at pull-ups and decent at push-ups. I can bust them out. Air squats are no problem, but I really enjoy running. And so now that I have something that I can time myself with, it's been a multiplier for me just in my physical fitness. So I'm excited about that. Cade, what are you most excited about for the Murph?
Probably the push-ups.
Nice.
Bust out push-ups like that. That's at least that's been something I've been working on for the last year, and so I can definitely bust those out. Running, if it was 100-yard sprints, I would be stoked about it. Anything over 100 yards, I start to get a little bit discouraged. So maybe I'll figure out how to piece in how many, that would have to be 4 times
16.
Yeah,
All you need to do is 16 100-meter dashes.
all right,
each time.
now I just broke it down and I feel way better about it.
So just sprint 100 meters and then sprint. There we go. Kate's got it figured out. Yeah. No, I think this will be fun. And so for those of you who join us, I'd love that. I think the whole Health Accelerator Challenge is the reason why we have these classes every Wednesday is because it's a reminder for us to just take our health just a little bit higher. It's easy to do what's comfortable. Andy, have you read the book, The Slight Edge?
No. Sorry, what is it? The
Slight Edge. It's kind of those decisions that we make that they're easy in the short term, but we have to pay for them in the long run. So if you think about the decisions that are easy right now would be, well, instead of going for a walk after dinner, I'm going to watch Netflix. It's easy right now, but if you do that every night for the next 10 years, it's going to be really hard when you decide to go on that walk. And it's going to be really hard when your body's got 50 pounds extra weight. And so in the Slight Edge, he also says if you inverse it and you say, okay, well, taking a cold shower is really challenging right now, but it gets easier as I go because it creates more and more momentum for health. Or choosing to go for a walk after dinner or a ruck, if you want to put on a weighted vest and prepare for Murph, just a little invisible pitch right there, then do that. But if you start doing that, maybe it's hard in the beginning, but in the long run, life will be so much easier. So it's the momentum is really important. So your challenge for this week is to write out a brand new exercise routine. If you haven't met with Tristan in a while, he's upped his game. We're modifying the Fitness 50 at age 100. Like I mentioned, we had Sally. I think Sally's on here too. Sally, hey, Sally, what did you think of the age reversal future with Dan today? Sally and I were on the Lifetime Extender, which now the name has changed to the Age Reversal Future with Dan Sullivan, that group, and that was really fun. Yeah, Sally loves the new name. I thought the name is a big hit, and so yeah, I think there's just so many things that happen as we start making these small steps. So the challenge for the week is to revamp your overall exercise routine, like I mentioned, up your game, and sign up for the Murph. And then meet with Tristan if you haven't met with him, because yes, we're changing the Fitness 50 tool. We've got our Fitness 25 at age 50 that will be coming out very soon as well. He and I have been doing a lot of research, and also I've been using AI to help as my research assistant. So some interesting things came out of that.
Very nice. Very nice. All right. Well, so this week's challenge, we're looking at getting a new.
Look at your exercise routine and then just increase it. Just say, okay,
Crank it up.
Crank it up. Yep.
Crank it up.
That's
awesome.
it.
Awesome. So get with Tristan if you haven't recently, and let's crank up that exercise routine. Awesome. Love it. I love it. I'm going to jump in there.
Cool.
I got to start running my miles.
The 100-meter sprints, 16
My 16 100-meter sprints.
Yes.
2 times. Yep.
Still sounds like a decent amount, but it sounds way easier than a mile.
It's 4 laps of the track.
Yeah. You got it. You could just sprint a whole lap, Cade.
I'll do it 100.
Yeah, spit it out, buddy. Seem tongue-tied there.
All right.
Cool.
You guys have an awesome night. Yeah, we will see you guys next time, same place next week. And have an amazing day, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye. Have a good one.